benefits everyone. Our goal is to help expand access to digital financial services so the poorest people and women in India and around the world can build security and prosperity for themselves, their families, and their communities. To achieve these objectives, we work with partners around the world to align on common principles for digital financial inclusion and support the ecosystem as they work to address key challenges. GRAMEEN Foundation in India is a key partner that is helping us and has been engaged in addressing barriers to financial inclusion. One of the recent projects that we are working with them is to improve the quality and viability of BC networks in India. The spread of digital technologies and the ongoing reform processes are removing barriers that once kept services out of reach of many people in the country. We are aware of that. This is evident from some of the data which is now available. 80% of adults in India now have a bank account. With no gender gap across rural and urban India. That's a huge benefit that we have. But unfortunately, what we are seeing is that not all these accounts are very actively being used, and there's a lot of work that needs to get done. Well, one of the reasons why we've seen these numbers skyrocket in the last few years is because of the Jan Dhan Yojana, life and accident insurance, and digital payments skyrocketing, the Mudra Yojana all coming in and accelerating what we thought at some point of time would have gone and grown at a marginal rate, so to say. Well, this all changed in the last few years. And since we are discussing financial inclusion in the hinterland, one of the questions that often comes up is that how does financial inclusion actually impact a poor household? So the results of one of the RCTs which covered the impact of increased rural banking access in southern India over 10 years, when it reported that expanding access to formal financial products and services to rural households not only crowds out informal borrowing, but also has a positive impact on savings, on people's own business activities, and on their ability to cope financially with health shocks. To talk about this, I'll tell you about a recent kind of field visit which we did just outside of Bangalore in a semi-urban, semi-rural kind of a setting, where small merchants, especially women merchants, urged us to buy and pay for the flowers outside a temple by using a QR code. And the reason I'm bringing up a QR code is because FSPs have issued about 220 million odd QR codes in the country as we talk today, and a lot of street vendors, small vendors, large vendors have those, right? And and why I bring this up is because in a following conversation, she said that by regular saving, she's been able to get respect, agency of her money, and now feels empowered. And there are millions of such women who are seeing change every day. Just also, while we are at this at the topic, I'd like to also talk about a survey which was conducted by the Bharat Inclusion Initiative at the IIM Ahmedabad. Found that women who own and use a bank account and fintech products are able to allocate resources independently of their spouses. And what they also found was that the expenditure on assignable goods, and when I talk of assignable goods, these goods are gender specific, such as specific articles of clothing or sanitary products, and all increased by 3%. Expenditure on toys used by girl children increased by 13%. Expenditure on education of girl children increased by 7%. And expenditure on nutrition food, which includes milk, fruits and vegetables, and pulses and meat, increased by 12%. So ultimately what we are saying is that if households are financially included, and specifically the control rests with the women, the entire household sees an impact of the benefits. Usually, change is a very slow process. and those who live within the AI ecosystem fail to see the changes. So we are living in interesting times as we are able to see those changes happening very, very quickly. As you know, Cheshi when spoke about it over the last 50 years, you've seen super change happening. And I think our generation who's in the room now is fortunate enough to see that change, which is happening at breakneck speed. I don't think that the other generation will see those those things changing at such a lot of pace.